If you're looking for an in-depth review of this all-new 2021 Hyundai Elantra, you've come to the right place. In this video, we're going to take a full detailed look at all of the exterior features, the interior features, take it out on the road for a test drive, and check everything out. For 2021, this Elantra is completely redesigned. It's got a new platform, it's different inside and out, and there's improvements all around. I can't wait to show it to you. Let's get started. And if you're cross-shopping this with other vehicles in the class, like maybe Civic, Corolla, Mazda 3, etc., let me know what you think compared to those and whether or not this might be a better buy than any of those. Now, starting on the exterior, you'll notice the design is definitely different. They wanted a new dramatic look. It's definitely very edgy, and they call it parametric dynamics. And you'll get the same SE, SEL, and limited trims, and the limited is what we have right here. Now, starting up front, first of all, with the headlights, the limited trim is the only trim that's going to give you LED high and low beams, but every model is going to give you the LED daytime running light, which is that kind of unique pattern that runs down right above the headlight, incandescent turn signal. And then, of course, with Hyundai, you get their signature cascading grille. It's wide, it kind of integrates into the headlights, and you've really got quite the nose on this Elantra. And on the corners, you'll even see a little air curtain over there passing through to the wheels. That grille is going to vary a little bit depending on the trim. We have dark chrome, but the lower trims are going to give you actual brighter chrome. And if you look, you can see the light glistening off of this paint. This is called Portofino Gray, and it's really metallic-y. I think it looks pretty cool. It's very sparkly compared to some other paints. It pairs well with this Elantra. It's a very edgy design. I'd love to know what you think with all of these like geometric shapes and the angles and triangles. Let me know down below. Now, looking at the wheels, these wheels kind of have the same geometric shape to them as well. You've got kind of a two-tone look right here. It's going to range from 15-inch on the bottom up to 16 or 17-inch wheels like we have on the limited trim. I actually appreciate that we don't have super large wheels that are real fancy looking, because it helps with ride comfort to have more tire and less wheel. But the mirrors right here, all of the mirrors will be power adjustable. You've got the same body color mirror right here, but only the limited and optional on the SEL will give you heated mirrors and the turn signal in them. Now, on the side body, you'll see just a little bit of chrome on the windowsill, at the bottom of the windowsill. That's on the limited trim, which is one distinction. It's optional on the SEL. Otherwise, it's just black moldings. And dimensionally, this is 184 inches, which is a little bit longer than last generation, where it was 182 inches, and it's 1 inch wider. So this is actually a hair bigger than some competitors like the Civic and the Corolla. Suspension setup for the Elantra is torsion beam in the back, so not the ideal multi-link, but there is something to say about that a little bit later. But as we come to the back, look at this taillight. First of all, I guess look at just the whole rear end. This is wide, it's very angular. You've kind of got almost like an integrated lip spoiler because of the shaping of that trunk deck lid. You've got LED taillights on this trim level, except the blinker is incandescent. But look at that taillight bar coming all the way across. What do you think of that? The LED taillights are on the limited and optional on the SEL, and there's no actual exhaust outlet coming out the back. It's just concealed. Let me know what you think. You know how if you have your hands full, it can just be an inconvenience to pop the trunk? Well, SUVs nowadays give you a hands-free trunk all the time, and so does the Hyundai Elantra. They even did this in the last generation. You can get the hands-free trunk on the SEL or the limited trim, and all you got to do is just stand at the back of the car for a couple seconds with your key fob. It will beep a couple times and open the trunk. You can turn this off or on if you want to. Now, another option to open it up with the smart key is that little button right there, and this will actually unveil just over 14 cubic feet, which is nice and spacious for this class. Bigger than some, not quite as big as the Civic, but bigger than the Corolla and the Mazda 3 for some main competitors. You've kind of got some wide pockets here. For example, like you've got a lot of space in between the wheel wells, which is good. And as you can see, this pull tab, that means you can fold the seats down. It's a 40-60 split in this trim. And look at the subwoofer up there. And one nice thing is that there's actually a spare tire standard on every single trim level. The only thing I would complain about is that there are no hooks for like a cargo net or grocery bags or anything like that. Now for the Elantra and the key fob, the SEL and Limited give you the smart key with push button start, similar to other Hyundai key fobs, and we even have remote start on the key fob. So the way this works is there's a little indentation right there. You can touch that to lock it, or there's a sensor in the back to unlock it, and then you're good to go. But Hyundai also has this thing called the digital key, so you can use your phone within a few centimeters of the door as a digital key to unlock it, or you can use the remote link or the Blue Link app to remote start, change the temperature controls, things like that too. Now taking a look at the front seat. So first of all, you might notice since the car has a new platform, the seating position is actually lower. So if you have mobility issues, keep that in mind. Getting in and out of here, it's a little bit more difficult, but we have actual leather seats right here. This is not synthetic. These are real leather seats, and they look nice, they feel nice. I like the pattern on the sides here. You even have perforation in here, good bolstering around the bottom, and the seat cushion. The lower trims, only the Limited gets leather, the lower will get cloth, and we have 12-way power adjustable here, including tilt and 2-way lumbar support. The lower trims will just give you 6-way adjustment, but sitting here at 5'9", I'm comfortable. I haven't been able to spend a lot of time in here yet, but space is good, comfort is good. I like these seats a lot considering the compact class. And in the US, heated seats are standard on the Limited trim and optional on the SEL. If you want ventilated seats or memory settings, you can't get them in here, but you can get ventilated seats in the hybrid model, the Limited hybrid. Now let's take a look at the back seat. So as we come back here, you get the same kind of seats and they look nice. You've got the same color, and they even have perforations back here. Now I complain about perforations in the back seat because it's just an easy place for crumbs and crap like that to get in if the seats aren't ventilated, which they aren't. Now over on the door, as you'd expect, you've got hard materials up there, but you still get a soft, nice material here, good grab handle, and a good sized bottle holder. And I think the most impressive aspect is the legroom. So legroom is quite good in here for a compact class. In fact, more than Civic, way more than Corolla, more than the Mazda 3 as well. You'll see a small hump in the middle. There's no direct charging ports or direct air conditioning vents, but there are little heater ducts that can get back here. There's a little mat pocket over there. And this seat, this position is where I was sitting comfortably as a driver at 5'9". There is a center folding armrest in the middle, but it is only on the top Limited trim. There's no cup holders on the top or the bottom two trims. And headroom is still good back here. Like I said, I'm 5'9". I can feel my hair touching, but I can sit up tall and be still fairly comfortable. So for a compact class like this, this is quite good. Now that we're inside, let's go ahead and start it up with our push button start. You've got a couple of big screens that you will notice right away. Now Hyundai's new design in here is called an immersive cocoon. So they wanted kind of low, wide features to make it feel open and airy, and I'll go through all of the features here in just a sec. First thing, over on the door, you've got a harder upper material, so if you like to rest your arm up there, it's a little uncomfortable, but there's nice material running across there. A semi-padded armrest, a good grab handle. Just the driver's window is automatic one touch up and down, and then kind of a small cubby and bottle holder. As some of you know, I carry a big bottle with me, and it just does not work in there. Just inside the vehicle, you've got your interior brightness controls, lane keeping system, and traction control. And this is a newer steering wheel from Hyundai. We saw this on the Sonata. I really like it. I like how there's an open bottom, but still an area to be able to grab on both sides. You've got some rather aggressive sport grips here, and this steering wheel is leather wrapped on our Limited trim. The SEL can get it optional leather wrapped, but one thing is that this is not a heated steering wheel. Regardless of that, there's still a lot of controls on here. So first of all, you've got information controls, voice controls, even an improved voice recognition with your push to talk right there. And then over here, you got cruise control, even your lane keeping system, or Hyundai DriveWise. And over here is the distance button for your smart cruise control. Now, one thing that you'll notice is we have two big, large screens, and they're almost like connected in a sense. So you've got that one, and you've got this one. And this is standard on the Limited trim. This is a 10¼ inch screen and optional on the SEL. There are a couple different ways that you can customize this. So you can customize the way that the gauges look too. You can have it depend on the actual drive mode, or you can have it on a certain thing all the time. And let me just show you all the different contents that you can have on here. So you can have a couple trip computers, your speedometer, attention level, tire display, all sorts of stuff that you're probably used to, plus you can have your driver assistance stuff all show up on here, and a little bit more information like your compass. Coming over even more, you'll see this is also a 10.25 inch screen. This is standard on the limited trim, and it's a pretty large screen. There are a couple of new things on here. So first of all, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to setup. You can kind of customize your home screen, but with setup, there's a whole bunch of different options on here and different settings that you can customize. But I'm gonna go to Apple CarPlay. One big addition for this year is that the base 8-inch screen will give you wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Our limited with the 10.25 does not get wireless, so that's a little bit bummer. As you can see, I am plugged in right here, but at least you have a big screen of CarPlay. You can have it be a split screen where you can customize the settings, or customize that in the settings. But overall, this screen is easy to navigate. I don't really have any complaints with it, except on the music screen, this whole screen is just kind of a waste of space. Like, a huge section of the screen is nothing except the channel or station that you're on. So I would like to see that. I complained about this in the Kia K5, same kind of setup here, but that is it's the way it goes. Speaking of the music and the sound, this comes with an 8-speaker Bose system and a subwoofer instead of a 4 or 6 speaker on the lower trims. And then down here you have actual shortcuts. So you've got a volume knob, you've got shortcuts for everything else, and that star can be customized to go to whatever you want it to go to. Then we have dual zone climate control on this trim. Easy to operate. You've got fan controls, you've got temperature controls for you and your passenger, and it's just easy to use. Heated seats right here. No ventilated seats on this one, but you've got 3-tier heated seats and your AC controls. Back up to the screen, throw it into reverse. No 360-degree camera, but you've got dynamic guidance lines on every trim level, and we even have parking sonars on this limited trim. Just below everything else, we have a wireless charging mat right here, 12-volt power outlet, and a couple of USB ports, and this is rubber lined, so it's a good little storage area for some stuff if you don't want it to slide around. And then our shifter is a nice feeling shifter. It's leather wrapped on this trim too. You've got a few drive modes like sport, normal, and smart mode. When you go to smart mode, it actually can move you between like normal and sport automatically. So you can just keep it in there and not really have to worry about it. Our limited trim also gives us an electronic parking brake, and we have the brake hold button, so you can press that when you're in gear or in drive, and it will automatically hold you in place. Now things get kind of fun back here. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of the piano black. It very easily gets scratched, shows fingerprints and dust and stuff like that. But these cup holders are monsters. Look at this. This is awesome. Really large, but check it out. You can pull this out, flip it around, and boom, stop it right there. And then you've got shorter cup holders, so you don't have to have massive cup holders. The only thing is that if you have skinny, narrow drinks, they can shake around in here. And back just a little further, this armrest is somewhat soft, not the best. It doesn't scoot forward or raise up, but it's in a pretty good spot, and it's a decent sized storage area inside for this class. Hyundai's glove box is not a locking glove box. It just falls wide open, but it's pretty good size. And an interesting thing is this whole grab handle over here. I'm not really sure why they did this, if they wanted it to be kind of sportier or what the deal is, but it's like a grab handle for the passenger if you're going to be doing something or whatever. But just on the other side of it, it kind of sections off for a little storage cubby for the passenger side. Then right up above, we get an automatic dimming rearview mirror with garage controls, standard on the limited trim. Otherwise, you can get it as an accessory on lower trims. One disappointing thing is there's no dedicated sunglass holder up here, and you've just got regular incandescent lights in here, which is no big deal. But you do have a sunroof, so let me go ahead and pull this open. We've got the sunroof right here, which is standard on this top limited trim and optional on the SEL. And if you're curious for visibility, the front pillars are small. turn around, look out the back. And for sedan standards, this isn't too bad. You know, they're all pretty similar nowadays, but you also have blind spot indicators in the mirror. And then on the limited trim only, you can get ambient lighting, and there's actually 64 different colors that you can choose from. So you can adjust the brightness, and you can kind of see over there, you know, what color and how bright things will look. And you can have it automatically dim while you're driving, which is kind of cool, but it's still really not all that bright. I'll show you in a second. But here are all of the different colors you can do, and the reason they say there are 64 colors is because you can customize colors as well. So it's just one kind of big long strip that goes across the entire dash panel, and it's not very bright. It doesn't really light up and glow all over the cabin like some does, so it's not quite as obnoxious as some ambient lighting, but I love the fact that you still get some, and you get different colors as well, so that is pretty cool. And if you go to link to drive mode, it's going to be different colors depending on what mode you're in. Like if you go to sport mode, it's going to turn red. Go to smart mode, it's going to be kind of like this light bluish color, and same with normal mode. And then eco mode, it will change a little bit too when you're in smart mode. So I like that they give you this option. Now looking under the hood, there are a few different options. You can get a couple of gas engines, or you can get a hybrid powertrain, and I'll touch on all of those in just a sec. The most common one that most of you will go with is this non-hybrid option. This is the same powertrain on every single trim level from the SE, SEL, and the limited trim, and it's going to give you 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. It is a 2-liter, 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated engine paired with an IVT transmission. The IVT transmission is a continuous variable transmission. They designed it so that it's supposed to feel more like a conventional automatic, but we'll take it out on the road for a test drive in just a second. But fuel economy was the main priority with this setup. Efficiency is very good on this model, and the SEL, it'll be 31 miles per gallon city, 41 highway, and 35 combined, but up to 43 miles per gallon highway on the base SE. But if you're really striving for that efficiency, you can go for a hybrid and get up to 54 miles per gallon combined mixed driving, or if you want the performance, you can go with the N line, which will give you just over 200 horsepower. All right, y'all, let's get going on the test drive here. So push button start, starts right up, and you could probably see I changed the display right there. I wasn't a big fan of the two white gauges. It's almost like two baseballs are looking right at you, two glowing baseballs, but you can change that a variety of different ways. I like it like this, and this point of view test drive, I just want you to get an idea of what it's like to be behind the wheel and be the one driving this Elantra. So before we get on the road, this does have a whole bunch of driver assist features. You've got lane centering, what will keep you centered in your lane, even turn a little bit for you. You've got radar cruise control, the smart cruise to keep distance between the car in front of you, emergency braking, you've got blind spot indicators in the mirror, parking sensors in the back. I mean, you've just got a whole bunch of stuff. But let's go ahead and get out on the road. And just keep in mind in this test drive that this car's mission is sensible commuting and fuel efficiency. Hyundai really wanted a fuel efficient option even for this non-hybrid model. You can get the hybrid if you want more efficiency, over 50 miles per gallon, but this one still does a nice job. And with this continuous variable transmission, that might not mean anything to some of you. Some of you might hate it, some of you won't care at all, but it does feel a little different than a regular automatic transmission. This is the way a lot of cars are going nowadays, this type of transmission. It just feels a little weird and a little loose when you get going right away. But we're just in normal mode right now. A little bit of pedal. And if you've ever driven a turbocharged engine and a naturally aspirated engine, which is what this has, there's a significant difference in the way that they feel. A turbocharged engine, you put a little pedal down and then you kind of get a quick boost in the back, and then it kind of slows down a little bit after that. A naturally aspirated engine here, you get the RPMs that go up, so you push on the pedal and you get quite a bit of engine noise and the RPMs go up, and then you get some power. So it kind of depends what you like. We'll get on it a little bit more later, but this transmission is very active. I must say that. I feel like the RPMs are kind of constantly changing, and it's almost like it's very quick to respond, which is good, but it's really active, so I'm a little curious about that. But the steering feel, the weight of the steering wheel is good. Some cars have a heavy steering wheel, some cars have really light, flimsy, like turn it with your pinky steering wheel. This is almost right in the middle, and I think it feels good. It's very easy to maneuver around. It feels fairly nimble as well. Not quite as nimble as maybe the Civic feels with its really light steering, but this is just fine for this class. I think a lot of you that will drive this will be very comfortable driving this car on a daily basis. Now as we start to turn, I'm gonna put us in sport mode. So really all sport mode does in this car is just make the engine and transmission a little more responsive. So if you're merging onto traffic or you just want to have a little bit of fun, that's what sport mode is for. It's just going to give you a little bit more pep in your step. Nothing too crazy. And this car is certainly quick enough to get up onto highway speeds, merging and whatnot. Not as quick as some, but it does just fine. And Hyundai lowered the center of gravity for the Elantra this year, so it's supposed to have better handling, and I think it does just fine. It's not a fun car to drive by any means, but it is perfectly fine for what most people will expect. Pedal down. You see how quick it is to respond? As soon as I put the pedal down, that transmission just boom, winds up. And that's one thing that you get with a variable transmission. There's not a stepped gear. But I'm going to take it out of that mode. I'm going to put it just in smart mode. I'm going to turn cruise control on. And let's see here. So we're on a straightaway, and if I kind of veer off a little bit, it's going to veer me back to the middle and keep me centered. Hyundai and Kia's lane centering and cruise control technology is fantastic, so if you want to use that, you can turn it all off if you want to as well. One thing, maybe you can hear a little bit of wind noise. This is not laminated glass. You don't really see that in this class, but this Hyundai Elantra is actually quieter than I was expecting. It's not luxury car quiet by any means, and it's probably not as quiet as the Hyundai Sonata, the bigger one. But compared to other small cars, especially even just a few years ago, small cars, it is not bad at all. I drive it on some different road surfaces, high speeds, rough textured roads, and there's some noise that gets in here, more so wind noise at high speeds, but it's still really not bad. And braking in the Elantra seems to be just fine. I've gotten on the brakes a couple of times. I have no complaints with that. As far as handling and ride comfort goes, it's going to be a little bit better in the hybrid models because they get a different suspension in the back compared to this one. But you're not going to notice probably too much of a difference. And ride comfort, talking about that actually, this is good. It's taut. It's kind of a taut, tight suspension for the most part, but it actually soaks up some bumps really well, especially for this class and this size of a vehicle. And now you can probably hear some of the road noise, the textured road surface here. There's some road noise that comes in. It's not quiet, but it's not loud. It's perfectly acceptable for this class. And I would say daily driving, the Elantra is easy to live with. Everything is where you need it. The buttons, the screens are easy to see, give you a lot of information. Buttons are easy to see. Your passenger even has a big old grab handle if you decide to go crazy driving, and there's not a lot to complain about. It's just not fun, but that's not what it's all about. This is about efficiency, and Hyundai does a great job. So to close things out on this 2021 Hyundai Elantra, if we go through the trim levels, the base SE is pretty basic, but it's the most efficient. The SEL can give you pretty much all the options that the Limited can, at least almost all the options, but it's at a lower price and you can kind of pick and choose what you want. Or the Limited that you get right here has the most features and a lot of features for the money, I must say, and it's still quite efficient and spacious. And I really like what Hyundai did with this Elantra. They made it a little bit bigger, but it's still compact. It's still a small car, easy to drive around, easy to maneuver, but there's more trunk space, there's more rear space, and there's a lot more features in here than last generation. So would you take this over a competitor? Well, if you want all the features that this has and the space, so like the price for the space and features that you get in this car is hard to beat. It's not going to drive quite as nice or be as fun or fast, but it's still really efficient. So is this the vehicle for you in this compact class? Let me know down below. I think Hyundai did a nice job. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and click the thumbs up button if you found this video helpful. Thank you so much and have a great day.